take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
Hey, you caught me. Reverend Mark Hughes, the Executive Director of the Vermont Racial Justice Alliance. We're live. It's Juxtaposition. You caught us again. Here we are. What are we doing today? This is, I'm thinking it's issues affecting black folks affecting change. That's it. Juneteenth. That's where we are. We're at Juneteenth. I remember a year ago we did this program on Juneteenth. And here we are again. In fact, I went back and checked my records. Last month, we forgot to do our second anniversary announcement. So we've been on for 2 years now. So we're pretty excited about that. I'm stoked today to have some folks from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission with me. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But let's talk about Juneteenth just for a second, because when I start to think about Juneteenth, one of the things I think about is the things that we didn't know, the things that we didn't really know about. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that the thing is, truthfully, is there's, when you think about Galveston, Texas, back in the day, and those folks come riding in there and they're like, hey, you guys are free or whatever. Bottom line is that, you know, they were already free. They didn't know it, but they were. And that just always causes me to think about this time of the year. And I'm always thinking to myself, you know, is this really what this is all about? Is this about what we didn't know? Take a look at this slide real quick. This is 13th of June. This is the Juneteenth edition of our outreach and education session. It is tomorrow. So come and hang out with us. You can also catch a little area online. You can dial in I think that's a Zoom call. Did you know that slavery wasn't abolished in Vermont until 2022? Yeah, they're telling us that we were the first state to abolish slavery. It ain't necessarily so. So there's more. Wait, there's more. We discovered quite a bit along the road as we were going down that path and figuring that out. Come out tomorrow, Richard Kemp Center, 6 p.m. We'll talk more about that. Juneteenth causes us to reflect on Reconstruction. It also causes us to reflect on our nation's earliest efforts to reparations. Now, as reparations initiatives, they're just blowing up all around the country. Policymakers in Vermont have been kind of slow to respond. In fact, we've had a reparations bill on the wall in our legislature for 3 biennium. And for those of you who can't do the math, that's 6 years. We've had a reparations bill on the wall. Instead, they decided that they wanted to implement a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And guess who I have here? I have the Truth and Reconciliation Commission here. The commission was established to examine institutional, structural, and systemic discrimination caused or permitted by the state laws and policies. Let's talk about it. So I'm joined with some guests here, these amazing folks here. I've got Michelle Overa.
Yes.
Esquire, no less, the General Legal Counsel of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, Vermont Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.
We also have Melody Mackin, one of the commissioners of the Vermont Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Melody, it's good to see you again.
You too.
Thank you for coming. So we're here, again, as I said, I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad you guys stopped and took the time out. 2 of you, I didn't think I was going to get both of you. I'm so excited to have this conversation. So maybe just starting with you, Melody, if you can just give us an overview, maybe a little bit on the commission itself. If you just wanted to just fill in any blanks, maybe you can give those who are watching an idea of what is this thing all about?
Sure. Our commission started out of the result of the eugenics apology, and people thought there needed to be more. And so this was what was dreamed of and what came out of it. And I am very glad that they broadened the scope. It's not just about eugenics. There's many different people who have stories and experiences that need to be uplifted. So really, that's the whole point of our work, is to uplift all the Act 128 communities. and making sure that people can be heard. So you can look at it partly as a listening session, and then at the end, we'll have a final report that will be a gift to the world, hopefully, and including recommendations from the people who are telling their stories about, and what we come up with in looking at research that we're doing, to how can we repair, and listing what's happened, and then also coming out with what can we do to make things better.
Okay.
What's our new future going to be together?
Exactly. And since we're talking about reparations, one of the things that I would just do just to kind of stir things up a little bit is just to add in the backstory of the creation of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, because remember I told you that we've been trying to get reparations across the finish line for 3 consecutive biennium. The first biennium, it was called H478, and it hung on the wall in what was government operations during that time. So this is what went down, folks. So at that time, Sarah Copeland-Hans is our now state secretary. She was the chair. I know Sarah very well. Hi, Sarah. So what happened was she didn't really want to do it. And we talked about it one-on-one about the fact that the reparations bill was just too heavy of a lift for her during that time. And it was during that time that it was her. It was at the time Representative Hal Colston, Kevin Coach Christie, Tiff Bloomley, probably Tom Stevens, and there's one other person who had their fingerprints on it. But believe it or not, y'all, what they did was they went in the back room somewhere between 2019 and 2020, and they started talking about this new idea, this other idea that they could do instead of, you guessed it, reparations, instead of reparations. So that's the what we call it, the Juneteenth version of the creation of this commission, because obviously there's always more than one story, but nonetheless, it's the Truth and Reconciliation Commission today. And what's interesting about it, Michelle, is this, and this is good, this is where it gets good, and I'm not going to grill y'all, but I do have some questions, is examining so you guys are going to put together some committees as well, and you guys have already begun to do that, but you're going to be examining institutional, structural, and systemic discrimination caused or permitted by the state laws, as I had said when we just opened up, and I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about what that looks like, because that sounds like a beast.
Well, I mean, we're looking at stories that have already happened, that are in newspapers, things that have happened over history, long ago history, but also we're really starting with people's stories and experiences, what they've experienced. What would it take for reconciliation to happen, or really just, if there was never really a good relationship to begin with, like some people would say consolation instead of reconciliation. But regardless, I mean, I think, a lot of people hear reparations and they think that it's only about money. Right, but reparations is not just about money.
That's correct.
It's about all different ways to mend relationships and move forward in a better way. So that could be part, potentially, of reconciliation. That's one way of thinking about it.
Right.
And then we're going to write a report about these things. We're asking people, when they give us their experiences, what they would like to see. What would make them feel like there's been some healing happening. And we're kind of guided by those experiences, going to make recommendations to the legislature based on that.
Absolutely, and I think that as I was watching this thing coming down the pike, I saw a lot of experts who came in, internationally known folks who were coming in that were consulting on, they were providing testimony on the creation of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and I'm wondering, do you guys have any point, either of you have any point of reference on that, or any of the input that may have informed this work?
Yeah, so I do know that the ICTJ, which is the International Center for Transitional Justice,
Uh-oh.
I know, they work with us often, and they
Okay.
have they're the ones that really help to shape and guide the TRC in general and the legislation and helping this get formed.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've been connecting us with international partners, and
Nice,
like today
nice.
we met with the Honorable Murray Sinclair from Canada, who
Wow.
is the head of the TRC in Canada, and he was wonderful. But he helped shape and guide also, like, have you thought about this? Or in taking folks' stories, like, how do you help and how do you take care of people? And then at the end, like, how do you write the report? What is it geared? Who's it geared toward? Like, who's your audience? Who's going to take it and really take it to heart and want to change? And really, all of this and the research and everything, it all is going to go back to what's the root cause of treating people less than human?
Right.
What's the root cause of treating anyone or targeting certain people? It has to go throughout time and connect to today. And things may just shift into what it looks like, but it's all the same roots, right?
Got
So-
you. I got a lot of questions for y'all commissioners and
What a surprise.
committee members, right? A big surprise. Then you got your selection panel, and then you got your executive director, and then there's the staff that comes in with that. And so as far as the scope of the work, I know that there are 5 categories of folks that we're looking at when we talk about populations in the communities. You want to talk a little bit about those? Tell us what those are.
Well, first, let's you keep mentioning the staff. Let's just say who they are.
Yeah,
right?
let's
so
do
let's
that.
just do that. We'll
Go
go
ahead,
back.
go ahead,
All right.
yeah.
So we have our lovely legal counsel, Michelle Overa, and I can't do the R. I'm sorry, I can't roll it.
Overa.
There we go.
You're getting it.
Yeah. And then Adam Kirsch, he is our lead researcher.
Yep.
And then Ann Miller, she is our executive assistant. And then our executive director is Faith Yakubian. And then last but not least, the wonderful and amazing Mia Schultz, who is the other commissioner. And we're waiting on our third commissioner. So TBA, and that's our team. And I also want to extend that we do have committees. So we have a total of 30 that we can have, 30 people, but we're starting with in the building and planning, and to get everything really going as we move into the storytelling session, we started with 11. And so every month, if you want to come to our meetings, we just had our one yesterday. They're posted on our website and our
Is that the second Tuesday?
second
of every
Tuesday
month?
of every month, but it might be
Second Tuesday.
shifting. So
So it's going to be shifting.
it'll be
Okay.
shifting a little, but it'll be monthly, and then we'll post the date. But as of right now, it's set to the second Tuesday.
I think the only one I haven't met is the executive assistant, if I'm not mistaken.
Anne?
Yeah, and
Anne's lovely.
Great.
yeah. So let's talk about those
Communities.
those populations. Can you tell us about what that looks like?
Yeah, and also they made it just really, our mandate is broad, it's huge, and they made also at the end, if you notice, of the Act
Catch-all.
128 communities, they're like, oh, and anybody else that the commissioners would like to bring in.
Right.
So it's our Act 128 communities, you may have them there, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anybody. But so it's Black people, people of mixed heritage, French Canadian, mixed French Indian, Native American, people with disabilities, and the families of people with disabilities, and then anybody else that
And actually black people of color. So other people
and
of
Black
color
people
as well.
of color. Yep.
Yeah, amen. Black people of color. Black people of color. So
Black and people of color.
Black and people of color,
I'm
yep.
wondering here's what I came up with today, and I was looking through I was doing my homework because I want to seem smart when I was talking to y'all, and one of the things about I think the physical, psychiatric, and mental condition and disability and families of these individuals, I'm wondering why that's the only category where you also indicated families. And maybe you don't know the answer to this. It could be that it's something to go back and think about. You know what I got thinking about? And this is just like a fun fact, is that, when you start thinking about, like, for example, indigenous or like Native Americans and so forth, they may be married to like white people, or black folks could be married to white people, and maybe we might be missing something, you know what I mean? But then I thought we got the catch-all. at the end, the fifth category. So maybe that might be what you leverage in order to accommodate for that?
Well, we didn't create, this was given to us.
I know.
And it also may not have been the name we would have chosen for ourselves, right? Because the whole idea of even reconciliation means there's something to reconcile, to go back to.
Right.
So what was the original?
I was getting ready to go there in a minute. Yeah.
Well, we're great guests. That's, that's why you have us on here. I'm just kidding.
No, you're awesome guests. Of course you are. So yeah, I mean, the whole Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the concept is, and I'm glad you unpacked that. And this is, to me, this is really what I was contemplating most today, because today was the first time I actually read through just the full enabling statute, and they haven't integrated it on the website. The modifications that came out this legislative session, they haven't integrated it. So I have 2 documents right now. So as I was doing the homework, I was reading through, and I was thinking, well, where is the reconciliation? And I think that's going to be one of our challenges. Not just because there was never anything there, so there's nothing to go back to, but even if there was this idea of reconciliation, there has to be an aggressor or an oppressor and somebody who's been injured in order to be able to come together and reconcile, if you will. Michelle, what are your thoughts on that?
Or even just to help us, and communities reconcile with what already is. To be able to move on in a better direction, in a more healing direction. I mean, obviously, some of these communities were never in this perfect relationship. At the end of the 3 years of the commission, I don't really think the vision is that everything's going to be perfect by then, right? But we're just trying to move in that direction.
Yeah. What do you think, Melody?
Well, I think that to begin, the hard work is being able to listen and believe people, right? Is uplifting those stories. The whole listening part is essential, because you can't heal from something that isn't talked about, that isn't acknowledged. And some people may not have even acknowledged it for themselves because it's too painful, right? Whether it's intergenerational trauma or things that are continuing to happen. And so in terms of reconciliation, first we got to do the hard part. And reconciliation, I would love to hear from the communities. I would love to hear from the public. This is a Vermont process, and we're trying to make sure that everybody can come in and speak to us. And if people want to come to our public meetings,
when are they?
They're the first Tuesday of every month from 5 to 6.
Our educational series.
We have one, and
I told you this was coming up.
Yeah, I pulled this up so that I could tell you when. But the next one is June 26th, Experiences of Black People of Vermont. And this will be really wonderful. I'm excited.
Yeah, I heard they had some really exciting people who are going to be on it.
Some wonderful people, including...
really amazing people are going to be
right.
And also, we have forms for folks that want to share their experiences with us. Their contact forms.
Where do we find those?
On the website.
Which
is, tell us the website. And you can also take the pledge to sort of join us as our partners. That's also on the website.
It's all on the website, though.
Yeah, and who can get involved? Everyone can get involved. So we have sign-up sheets if people want to work with us in any capacity, whether you're a community organization, legislators, if you're an individual. So there are many different ways to get involved and sign up with us. And if people want to, you're welcome to send us an email, and you can be put on our listserv so you can stay in touch with us. So there's many different ways to get involved, and we want to hear from people, and we want people to tell us, like, what does an apology look like? Right? And so, and how can we move forward? So we want to make sure, and also in uplifting people's stories, that we also hear the second part, and like, what should be done? What are some ways that Vermont can shift its culture to be more inclusive and to heal and repair and do all of those things that are necessary to create a future that we can all really have a wonderful community together and move forward. So
yeah, absolutely. Let's come back after this quick break. I gotta tell some folks, they like on television they say we gotta pay the bills. This has nothing to do with that, but I gotta tell some folks about some things that are going on, and then I want to come back talk to you a little bit about committees just because I think that's like such a vital and important part of the work as we move forward in doing this work. So I want to get your thoughts on what that looks like, and also, we'll talk a little bit more about the legislation that just came out, that was just passed. But if I can direct your attention to this, this is summer activities at the Richard Kemp Center. Hoorah! So show up. They're starting on June the 24th. We're going to be in the building. We're also, I think, during that time, we're going to have the Racial Justice Academy come through. We're going to be doing some work with them as well. A lot of constructive stuff happening. We're going to be doing some drop-in programming. A lot of stuff are going to be running simultaneously over the summer. Do not forget to stop in. Even if you are not, aligned with the programming and you just want to stop in and see it in action, please stop in and just come in and encourage us and lift us up. We're like one of the youngest kids in town as far as these community, these activities for youth and community members. And there's so many other things going on that we compete with on a regular basis, and we appreciate it if you just stop in and show a little support. Just give us a little word of encouragement, because it's hard out there for a new organization. Also, here you see Equity Matters, Dismantling Systemic Racism. This right here is dope. I'm telling you, we're meeting at the library, at the Fletcher Free Library on the first Tuesday of every month, sadly. We kind of overlap with some other things that are going on, but everything overlaps with something that's going on. So if you get the opportunity to maybe stop in on us at the library, what are we talking about? We're talking about stuff like community health and wellness. We're talking about stuff like, I think this last one that we had was the Equal Protection Constitutional Amendment. We'll be also talking about stuff like reparations, various other topics we're going to be covering. Oh, stop. Take a look at this slide right here. So this is the Richard Kemp Center's Growing Homes program. Did you know that only 21% of the black folks who live in their homes actually own them in Vermont? The rate is dismal compared to the national numbers. And it's also embarrassing when you look at the fact that 72% of white folks who live in their homes actually own them. And so what we're doing is we're working in concert with the Champlain Housing Trust folks. And we're trying to figure out not just how to get people in homes, because if we're not reconciling, at least with the current situation, if nothing else, if we're not growing, if we're not learning, if we're not healing along the way, then it really doesn't help us to put people in houses, to get people, you don't close the wealth gap like that. It has to be a more holistic approach. So I just want to encourage folks, stop in on us. You can find out stuff about the Growing Homes program over on the Richard Kemp Center's website, where we can tell you, you can learn more. But just so you know right now, and this looks like that time period is gone. So disregard that. I think we have something coming up next Wednesday at the Richard Kemp Center at 6 p.m. So thanks for your patience on that. Committees. You said we had, currently we only had 11 of the 30. I know statutorily it was mandated, or I should say it was capped, that there would only be, I shouldn't say only. Let me see if I can explain this for folks who are watching. Is that, as I said, we've got the structure is, it's a little complicated, but it's really not. Is you've got 3 commissioners, and then what you have is there will be up to 30 committee members, and those committees will be established at the discretion of the commissioners, and they are the ones who will actually be doing the work. Well, the executive director and the legal counsel are the ones doing the work. No, I'm just sucking up. But they'll be the ones doing the work. And then, of course, the selection panel, its purpose is to actually position the commissioners. And we had a little snafu because we didn't quite have that figured out, and we lost a commissioner recently. So during this legislative session, we filled that blank in the policy. So now we're now positioned to be able to put a commissioner in place, and I believe that's going to happen. But anyway, back to these committees. Can you tell us just a little bit more, Melody, about the existing committees, and also if there's anything else you can share with us about what you see in the future with committees coming up?
Sure. So right now what we've done is we've just started with the first 11, and we are running everything by them. So we've finished up writing our strategic plan. for the most part, and we're going to need to run all of that through them and make sure it looks good, because while we come with many different lenses and experiences, we don't have everything. And so this will really help us to round out our work, make sure it's accessible, inclusive. And so like yesterday when we had our committee meetings, one thing that we looked through was our accessibility plan. And they gave us some awesome feedback. So each time we're going to bring something new. And then by next year, we will expand and we'll create multiple committees that will work on different aspects of this work. And that might look like the listening sessions, for instance, and I don't know, the more administrative pieces. And
Got you. So right now, is it safe to say that there's those 11 committee members are one committee,
Yes. Yep.
and there are not multiple committees currently?
Nope.
Right.
And
They're just building
what
and
you're
planning.
doing is you're building, you're growing, and then eventually, topically, you'll begin to break out committees.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm so glad I had a chance to have you. I told you 25 minutes goes so fast, and I wanted to before we close out, just back to you, Michelle, with the policy for that just came out. I think we called it H4 or 649.
We did.
And I know you were pretty involved in that. Just briefly, in just maybe 30 seconds or less, I was wondering, because there was some information, there's quite a bit of attention that was turned toward confidentiality and so forth. I was wondering if you had any, feedback on, what prompted that and if we got the outcome that we were looking for.
Yeah, I thought our really highest priority was to ensure that people that wanted their stories to be confidential would still be able to retain that, right? And there were some challenges to that. I mean, it's a new thing for many people, right? So we sort of just like explained why it would be important for people to maintain the confidentiality of their stories, and I think we were heard on that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I'm glad about that.
to get a new commissioner, to get our budget passed, and for the safety of everybody involved, for us to be able to continue to have our meetings online.
Right. Yeah,
Those are
I
our big
appreciate
things.
that. And thank you for fighting for that too, because I think that it's going to be really, really important as we're continuing to do this work, as we are continuing to do this work, that folks know that there's a space, there's a place for them that they can speak into, that is safe. That is not just welcoming, but is safe, and that their words are protected, that their speech is protected.
Right,
And
if they want that.
Yeah,
Some
they
people want to be
gotta have
loud,
it.
and that's okay.
Yeah, and I think here's the thing. I'm going to have y'all come back too, because there's some other things that I'm excited to unpack, but we just don't have time to do it tonight. Check this slide out. Juneteenth. If you can pull that up. So I just want to, folks who are watching, make sure you come by the Richard Kemp Center on Saturday. So there's definitely going to be some ongoing activities statewide. It's going to be some commemorations, some celebrations. I'm a little bit mixed about Juneteenth, whether to commemorate it or celebrate it. I'm not completely excited about the fact that somebody didn't tell our people something for a year and a half or two. But there's a lot of positivity that's going to be happening at the Richard Kemp Center. So don't forget to show up. I want to thank y'all for coming out today. You guys are amazing. You guys are doing amazing work. Y'all are good folks. If I could bring the whole team out,
You too.
I'd bring them out. But thank you so much. You've been with us. This is us. This is Juxtaposition. We're doing the work here. This is Black issues affecting Black folks affecting change. You've been with us tonight. You've been with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. This is not reparations. This is Truth and Reconciliation. And I'll bet you when you look up next session, we'll be bringing another bill back, reparations, in January. Thanks for joining us. Y'all have a good evening. Bye.
My people with me, together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my